The mission of Urban Peace is really to help save the lives of the next generation of young people, particularly in areas most impacted by violence. My name is Fernando Rejon. I'm the Executive Director here at the Urban Peace Institute. We're a nonprofit social justice organization.
Here at UPI, we really focus on building and creating a broad array of programs, initiatives, and policy.
Two of our core programs within the Urban Peace Institute are the Community Safety Partnership, as well as Latino Leadership Development. Latino Leadership Development works with families in hard-hit communities to get more Latino residents civically engaged to define what safety means for them. The Community Safety Partnership started as part of a reform effort within LAPD to change the way LAPD treats and interacts with the community.
It's important to understand that within the last generation, Watts was one of the most violent and deadly communities in the United States.
The history of LAPD and the policing tactics utilized in the 80s and 90s during the war on gangs and the war on drugs created deep mistrust with the community.
I remember crying once because I wanted to leave because the helicopter was so low, cracking down a dope house because it was selling dope and we didn't even know, and it was our backdoor neighbors.
Change doesn't start from the top down, it starts from the ground up. We're talking about a different style of policing that is not the warrior style. It's not an us versus them style anymore. To police with less fear. In order to police with less fear, you have to know the people that you're policing, the people that you're working with. Overall increases officer safety and community safety at the same time.
Yeah, my name is Jeff Joyce. I've been an officer with Los Angeles Police Department for 15 years, and the opportunity came up to come down for the CSP program here in Southeast. We go to a training period for 4 or 5 days, and within that, they bring in community members. I was going to be assigned Nickerson Gardens, and there was a community member, the only one there.
My mom went to a meeting. There she met Officer Joyce.
So I met Maricela, and I actually moved seats to sit next to her, and I used an app on my phone.
Es que yo quiero hablar contigo. Entonces yo le decía, pero es que yo no sé inglés, yo nomás sé español. Pero fue tanta la insistencia de él que puso luego mensaje en el celular. Porque él fue un oficial muy interesado en el quería los cambios, y él fue el que empezó a visitarnos.
She invited Officer Joyce and his partner over to her house.
I showed up at her house a couple days later, and they were all in the living room and introduced themselves, and little Julia was chewing on a pillow the whole time. She was pretty shy.
Ellos como sorprendidos porque pues a mi casa, yo soy papá y mamá, a mi casa no entran hombres. Entonces ellos se preocuparon y me dijeron que es que él se interesó por la comunidad, quiere conocerlos a ustedes y quiere preguntarles qué cambios quieren.
He asked my sister and my brother, were they happy here? And they said no. And then why is because they couldn't play outside and they couldn't be themselves. They couldn't be kids. They couldn't play soccer. They couldn't play on their scooter because they get robbed. They couldn't play on their bike. That's all they wanted. They didn't ask for anything else but to be able to play outside.
We started talking about soccer and how they wanted to play soccer, but they couldn't play soccer in Nickerson Gardens, which I didn't understand. Growing up as kids, we ride our bikes, we play outdoors all the time, and so they weren't having this opportunity. So it came down to, I said, we're going to turn on the lights. And I drove around and told some kids we're going to play some soccer a couple days before, and all these kids came out, we had the lights on, we just started kicking an old soccer ball around and playing soccer.
It was just about 4 kids that came over, and then from there more kids started to join.
And it was a little chaotic because sometimes you get kids coming and going, but we had a good core of the same kids coming out, and you could kind of sense a lot of them were really good kids that just need a little bit of love and a little bit of discipline and caring. So we just kind of took this little group and went over to Verbum Day and started playing over there.
Nick's Kids is like a safe haven, as it allows us to come together and play soccer. Like before, we couldn't do this, and if we ever tried, it would always be interrupted. But right here, we all get along, and there isn't fights and there isn't that fear because we are protected around here.
Kids are able to solve things without violence. So Nickerson has, in my perspective, it has changed for a better.
Nick's Kids has changed my perspective on them because I thought the police were people who were bad people.
It's been the most rewarding time of my career to see the positive impact on these kids that I really feel is going to last their lifetime. It's changing their life, to whereas when we're arresting people, it's not always something that's a positive impact for them. So, I mean, for me, it's been huge. It's something that I enjoy doing. It's just something that really drives me, and it's such a great positive thing in my life. It's been awesome.
The Latino Leadership Institute taught me to be myself, to bring within with what I have, like my leadership skills, and be able to use them wisely and positively.
It's been super exciting to see the Latino Leadership Program and also the CSP program, them to come together to create something new, inspiring, and powerful like Nick's Kids.
We rely heavily on stats, but how do you measure trust? How do you measure the relationship that a department has with the community and the amount of trust the community has in the department? The amount of community trust being built in Watts has risen significantly. I think that for us is important to understand how policing can be changed not only here in Los Angeles, but across the country.
One of the best outcomes that we've seen is that these kids are building more and more relationships with one another.
Tuvieran una comunicación, no. Y ahora se han enlazado más. Es un cambio muy bonito.
You know, we teach them to be proud of themselves, not do things just for us to be proud of them, but to see her see that transformation where them becoming leaders is a pretty cool thing to watch.
Officer Joyce is a very caring person and a very loving person. Since the beginning, when he came into our lives, he has been like a blessing. My mom says all the time that there's ángeles terrenales, so those are angels that are here on the earth. So that's why I would describe him as, and that's why we love him very much.
It's the officers on the ground who are engaging the community day to day that need the most support, and they need to understand, they need the permission from those up top to do their policing work in a different way, in a more dignified way.
I'm so thankful that I came to the CSP program in Nickerson, because I used to work in 77th where, you know, you work hard and you're policing, but I think seeing the whole other side to this community policing and getting out to know the community just brings me a lot of joy when you can go through here, instead of getting, you know, cussed at and called names, people are actually waving and saying hello. Just to see them thrive, it brings me just a lot of joy and pride with them, to see them succeed and see all the kids every one of them we're impacting.
Living within the Nickersons doesn't mean that you can't achieve to be greater. It means you can show everyone that doesn't believe in Watts that Watts brings out good flowers, you know?
As a nonprofit social justice organization, we need to ensure that we can continue to do the work that we're committed to. We're a mission-driven organization that really relies on community partners as well as foundations and donors to support the work that we do.
These kids and these communities need these types of programs. Without your support, we can't sustain these initiatives.